Hey guys, my name is Uros. Today we're talking about Meera Blomst. I made like a short little remake or in the style of her track Blomst. As you all know, Meera has been like killing it for the last maybe 2 years. I love her track like Clean the Turbines, whatever we call it, no title yet. And this one obviously, it's very unique style, so I really like it. I will post the link to the original song in the description down below. The project files will be on Patreon, and if you like this content, give me a like, follow, that kind of stuff, right? And yeah, I want to talk today about the piano, um, then the groove and like the drums, also the pads, because I think they're really interesting, and also a bit about the vocals and the effects she uses in this track, right? So that's it. And if you want to listen to the full playthrough of the remake, you can skip to the end of the video. So that's it. So let's first look at the arrangement, because I think the arrangement is really what helps this track to kind of stand out and make it unique, right? So we got the full track here, and here where I put it in the yellow, right? This is where the piano first starts playing, right? And we get like, I called it like piano foreshadowing. I will show it later in the MIDI as well. But just remember, it's like a piano that kind of comes in and kind of tells you, hey guys, there's going to be a really sweet piano chord progression here. Just wait and see, right? But this is where the piano first happens. And it's just like a small snippet of the piano, right? It's not actually like poof, going straight into it, right? Then on the purple, right, we have the piano basically that is still kind of small, right? And this is a big thing, which I'll explain later as well. It's a piano that is not like developed fully, right? It's like starting slowly to creep in, right? Then we get to the red part, which is like the main piano, the brightest piano in the track, right? It's in the break. It happens in the break. Again, I'll show it later as well. And then we get when the drop hits, which I also said, which is a new hat, because a new hat comes in. But when the drop hits, we get to kind of like this kind of piano, the purple one, but maybe even smaller piano, right? And then during the break, the big break, we get again to that big ass big ass piano riff or chord progression, which is really nice and open and bright, right? And then we go back to the blue part, which is more toned down and more like contracted, basically, right? So that's it. Let's check how this kind of makes sense in the project or remake I did. One thing also I want to say, where it says the new hat, right here, this is also when the bass actually first comes in the track. So we have 2 minutes and 30 seconds without any bass line, right? We just have the kick and the toms and la 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 la. So when it comes at 81, right, when the bass line hits, boom, it's magic, right? She kind of pulls back with that bass line, really waiting for it, and then poof, hits you at 2 minutes, 30 seconds, right? So that's for the arrangement. I think the arrangement is beautiful and really nice. It's also a really long track, all right? I think it's like, dude, it's 9 minutes long, right? So let's take a look in the remake part, and I'll explain. Like I said, first I'll explain the piano, then groove, then the other things, right? So like I said before, I even marked it as yellow. We have that foreshadowing thing. The first time the piano hits, right, we get this kind of foreshadowing thing. Let's just check it out how it looks like. So this is how it looks like. Let's listen to it first in solo and then in the context of the track. Right? So it's very like, it's very small, but it also kind of tells you, hey guys, like I've said before, prepare for some magic, right? I really like that. And also what I want to say here, we're using Valhalla Shimmer on all the pianos, right? Also one thing to point out, right, what I said before, right? I have 3 different piano tracks here because all of them are have different color, right? Or tonal shift. Like I've changed a bit of the color. So this piano is more like almost like if you would use EQ to cut like the high end of the piano. So you could use velocity as well, right, to make it less kind of punchy. But I want to keep the same velocity, but just having it less color, so less high end, right? And let's say here at the drop, it's the same thing, right? So when the kick is playing, the bass is playing, you want to have like a piano a bit more toned down, right? You don't want it to be like fully open and all that. We're using that in the break part, right? When the break part happens, we get the big ass expanded piano, right? But when the kick and stuff is playing, you want to tone it down. And I used color in the Noir Pure. You could also do it probably with an EQ or a filter, right? But you will also see not just the tone of the piano changes, but also the notes themselves, right? So when we'll get to the big ass break, that's where we get like we go into like, you know, crazy stuff. But when the kick and that stuff is playing, we're more toned down, we're more kind of basic, if you want to call it like that, right? Let's check this purple piano, right? Oh, before I do that, let's just listen to it in context with the track. Okay, so now that we had that foreshadowing piano out of the way, we get this piano, right? Which is already, you can see the picture is a bit bigger. We have like lower octaves as well, right? So let's listen to it first in solo. Let's listen it now in the context of the track. Okay, I can tell you as well about the chords of the track, not for each one separately, because that would take way too much time, because there's a lot of extensions here, right? She's playing a lot of like 7 chords and sus chords and also like adds 2 chords, right? But if we just talk about the base of the chord, right? Like the base on which this extensions will kind of lie on, we have a C sharp minor here, right? Which is, you can see C sharp, G flat, E, right? C sharp minor, A major, F minor, right? G sharp minor, back to C sharp minor, then also C sharp, but kind of inverted, as you can see, no bass end, but basically same stuff, right? This chord, oh dude, I love this chord. What, bro? This one is kind of hard to. I would probably say C sharp suspended of sus4 with an added 2, right? And when I say added 2, I mean like we add the second note of the chord. As you can see, this is a C sharp chord, but we're adding E flat, right? And if we add that second a note to a C sharp chord, or whichever chord, doesn't matter, we get this really nice tone, especially here in the higher octaves. Like, oh my god, bro, it's really nice, right? Back to this, and then we basically just repeat. We have like F sharp minor, G sharp minor, C sharp minor, right? One thing also, if you just look at the picture of the chords, we're not using standard 4-chord progression, right? It's not like dum, dum, right? Where we're having this really nicely flowing motion, right? Just look at, dude, you know? It's really nice. I just listen it again. We can also see the timing of the chords, right? They're a bit put to the front, and like I've said, it's just like a really nice flowy motion. Even this last chord, look at where we land. We land in the middle of 3 and 4, right? What? Weird. Weird, but super, super cool, right? Okay, let's move on to the next chord so we don't waste too much time with this, right? Okay, then we have this piano, right, chord, and this is the main piano chord progression, right? Like I've said, it happens in the break because in the break you have way more room to maneuver. Honestly, in this break, it's more heard than in the biggest break because in the biggest break there's also pads and stuff like that, right? But if I just open this, you see we have the biggest picture of them all, basically, right? Oh, this sounds like Lord of the Rings main, but so as you can see, piano here is extended, right? We're even playing here at A5. We're playing this really top note, right? Which didn't happen before. If we just like take a look at this one, right? We're just at like C4 here, right? Still big picture, but not as big as this, right? And if we look at the piano that happens in the drop, we can see it's way more contracted, right? So when the break comes in, you go crazy, right? When the break comes, you can go crazy. You can play around, add extensions, add notes high up. You can add blah. But when the kick hits, boom, you're going down, right? You are using the same chords, but you are using different voicing, less notes. You're toning it down, right? If that makes sense. So let's also listen to the piano we just played in context with the break. Okay, so let's look at the last piano I have here, which again, as I said, it's toned down. Still the same chords. In essence, they're the same chords. But like I said, because the kick hits, you have, you wanted to make it tight and stuff. And like I said before, you can even hear the color. Seems like it's filtered a bit because I've used the color on the piano. A lot of these libraries have like either color or like tonal, la la la. Just find that knob, play around with it during the track, right? Put just this note on. That's okay. Okay, so that's basically it for the piano, right? Play around with the filter or just the tone. Expand during the breaks. Keep it minimalistic on the drops. Foreshadowing, do some kind of thing, because this foreshadowing thing happens actually in a lot of her other tracks, not in the same way, but I know for a fact that one of her track plays something on the piano. I'll maybe do like another tutorial or something, but definitely remember that if you're planning to use a certain theme on the piano, you can always use like a little small snippet before or even after the track, right? Not the track, but like the main thing, right? So that's it. And also like I've said, the structure of the chords, it's not basic 4 chords one after the other. The timing is different, the way it flows. Let's just look at this stuff. It's like, what the hell is going on, right? But it's really nice. It's an amazing track, right? Okay, so for the groove, I wanted to kind of layer a lot of stuff together. What I've heard in her track is like either like some kind of weird bell or like a ride bell or something like that, right? I tried finding similar samples, but obviously good luck with that. But yeah, let's just listen to what I did, right? So we have like a bell playing here. It's just straight 16 notes, and it's actually a streetcar bell by Hissy. Okay, I added another bell here, which is actually the same bell, just as before, but shifted, right? So they're transposed differently, right? Because I wanted to make them bigger, right? So this one's -4, and this one is like +1, and this one is to the left. This one is more to the less to the left, less to the left. Yeah, together. We also have this bell ride, right? And I think that's the kind of thing you want to go when you're making this kind of music, right? You want to layer a lot of stuff, right? A lot of like rides, shakers. Obviously, you don't want to get it sound too messed up. So you want to use the panning and like some EQ and stuff to kind of make their own space. But you also want to make them big, right? I think that's a word. Maybe you should start saying huge. I don't know. We got another ride here though, which is again different by just the sound, right? So I'm trying to use different sounds to layer them together, right? So together, another bell, right? And these are all playing basically 16 notes, right? Then we have a head. And later I put the noise head as well from Serum, just so I can use some of the what am I using? The release, I think. I'm doing the release here to kind of make like kind of a transition. And like I've said, here at the drop, if you just rename it to drop, oh damn, we get another head, right? So all together, the groove. And there's also a bit of like noise as well, like there, if you can hear it, right? But that would be my idea, basically, to layer a lot of sounds together to get like a huge sound, right? Let's also take a look at the low end, right? So we got the kick, and again, I think in a lot of her tracks she uses like very like big kicks and like crunchy kicks. They're not like how to say, they're not like small. I don't know. I don't even know how to say it, but they have quite a lot of like oomph to it, you know? Right? Then we're using tom. Let's look at this is what I've heard basically, right? That it plays together with the kick. This kind of rhythm. Then we have another tom here. So that's it. And then we have tom 3. I even forgot what this is. Okay. That's just a layer. And obviously, like I've said before, at the break, I think the bass line starts. But I've used just track volume. But I think it drops at the drop, right? So we get the bass line. I've used just like a basic bass from Adam Port. I don't know. And like I've said, the chords, which I explained before briefly, C sharp, A, F sharp, G sharp, back to C sharp, and then F sharp follows the piano chords, right? That's why we also have like this kind of pull timing, right? But basically that's the groove together. And for the bass line, I think I EQ'd it a lot because I didn't want to, I even put less of the low end. I think I cut it here. I don't know what I was doing actually because I did it like a couple of weeks ago, but I think I did it because I want the kick to come through more and even the toms, right? So okay, so let's look at the pads now, right? I think the pads are happening throughout the whole track. It's obviously very hard to hear them. Some of the pads during the break part get more pronounced, especially those like saw kind of lead pad that comes in later and even takes the lead instrument role, right? But let's look at this one, for example. I think, let me just do it like this because it did not play. And yeah, this one sounds like this. This one is very backgroundish basically and just plays like a couple of notes to provide like the atmosphere, I guess. Let me see if I have to put this one as well. Yeah, I have to fix this one as well. Give me a second. Okay. Then we have different, this one. All of these pads are very filtered because during the track, you just hear like the texture and the ambience. You don't actually feel like chords moving except for the break parts, right? So these pads together. Then we get this one. Again, this one is filtered a lot. It's in Diva, but it's filtered a lot, right? So basically we cannot even hear it. And right, you can see plays the basic chords, but very quiet, dude. Very quiet. Then we get to these pads. And for example, this one, we can check here. And this one is from Diva, right? This one I made in Serum. Like kind of combining it because like I had to do it twice basically because the first time I did it, like it didn't save the preset and I'm not gonna tell the story, but we're having a bit of attack here as well in the envelopes, and then kind of going down a bit to get kind of like a bit of like more pluckier vibe to it, and obviously a lot of release, right? Dude, my voice, a lot of release, but let's just listen to it. It comes only here basically at the last part. One thing pointing out is the noise. There's a lot of noise in it as well, right? Because if you listen to the original track, you will realize on that pad there's a lot of noise. We also have another saw lead which complements this one. So let me just solo it first. So let's just try to focus on these pads while the track is gonna play, right? So let me just play the whole pads first. Also, I want to say I've used some noise here as well. Ready to go left to right. And I think that's what she does. She uses a lot of noisecapes as well, right? And, and that's what I want to talk about for the last part is the effects and the vocals, right? So the effects and vocals is basically more or less just like an honorable mention. I've listened to the track, like I've said multiple times. There isn't any like standard effects like symbol, you know, rises and like sweeps and that kind of stuff, right? Like I've said, there is some kind of rise here in the build before the break with the head sound, right? It adds a bit of noise. She also uses her vocal, which I think she uses her vocal, right? Before the drop, there's just like a snippet of the vocal, boom, that hits. And that's basically kind of like a transition element. And even during the track, she uses her vocals. If you really pay attention to it, you will hear like some weird reverses and like some glitchiness of her vocals. So what I would do is try to find a vocal sample and then just use crystallizer, portal, shaper box, or what's the other thing, the tantra, and just play around with the parameters and just record it at the same time. And then you could get like some really cool, interesting things, which you also would get recorded, and you could use them like to basically add a texture because they're very quiet, but they still add a lot, right? Instead of like using crackles or la la la, you use that stuff, right? Um, that's it. And I think before this drop, there is also like a weird effects that happens also later on the main drop. There's like listen to the track. I'll post it in the link down below. But that's for the effects, right? She doesn't use standard effects, but uses sounds, either mangling the sounds or just using some almost like UFO type of like alien type of sounds to create tension and to go into the drop, right? So that's it. Maybe I forgot to talk about some things. But yeah, hope you liked the tutorial. Hope you liked what I did as well. Let me know in the comments. Also, give me some comment about what you want to do or what should I do next. I already have some plans. But yeah, like I've said, this was cool because I like Meera and I know a lot of people like her as well. So it was really nice. Thanks again for watching. Like and subscribe if you like the content, la 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 la. And that's it, guys. Miowski.